Hey, y'all, what's up? It's me, Double K Double, sitting here with the one and only Alpha. What's up, my brother?
How we doing today, my people? We're here to talk about some motherfucking M.Night Shyamalan today. Part 2, Shyamalan Strikes Back.
Yep. M.Night Shyamalan, my boy. Now, make some good movies, man. I can tell you that. So let's kind of catch everybody up to start with. In a previous episode, I want to say 3 episodes ago. Or was it? Yeah, 3 episodes. No, 4 episodes. No, 3 episodes ago. Four. Sorry.
It's got to be an even number. It's got to be an
Right.
even number.
No, it's four. It's four because last episode we did WrestleMania. The episode before that we did Snyder Cut. The episode before that we did wrestling. So it would have been 4 episodes ago. We did M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable, which turned out to be an amazing movie. And it was one of a trilogy that Alpha had brought up that he wanted us to cover. And I'll say this, so far 2 movies in, I'm glad that we decided to cover this. Unbreakable, we gave our opinions on. Y'all want to find out about that? Like I said, check out 4 episodes ago. Today we are talking Split with, I don't know if he did win, but he should have won the Academy Award winning Mr. James McAvoy portraying the main character in the movie. And my God, man, McAvoy just, let's start there.
Fuck.
Let's start there. His performance as Kevin, what was his name? Kevin, it starts with a C. Crowley? Or Crawl?
Yeah, Kevin something Crump.
Yeah, Crump. Kevin Crump. His projection or his portrayal of that particular character is just mind-blowing. Like I said, they're talking about 23 different personalities, and this guy gave you a character to believe in each personality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like each character had its own differences, from Patricia to Herwig. Okay, I just have to stop for a second. That etc. shit had me on the floor every time that he said it. He's like, "You trying to trick me?" And etc. And etc. Like he gonna have me saying that to my daughter now, man. You was trying to get away with some shit in etc. Huh? But he gave each individual personality its own distinct personality, and it just, man, it blew, the entire movie blew my mind. Like, is it wrong that I was more focused on him than I was on the girls that he kidnapped? Like, who were supposed to truly, like, I was like, the teenage girls. But did you see McAvoy?
But look at his expressions, though. I feel it. No, immediately after the movie, it's a reminder to me why, like, if you remember when the movie first hit, there was immediately that reception of like, holy shit, James McAvoy is God. Yeah. And I didn't get to realize that until a while after, but again, on my second time around, you notice things that you didn't notice before. Pick up on the little shit and get to focus in a little bit more. And holy fucking shit, just to start with his performance and everything that he does in isolation of everything that happens in the story. Yeah. He's able to change everything about himself when he switches to a different personality. Right. And it's more than just speaking differently or this or that. He has completely different expressions and mannerisms. His eyes rest and his eyebrows are completely different positions. He walks and his back rests at different positions when he's standing. There's so much focus in the difference of how each personality moves. Yeah. And obviously they voice that, but there's a lot more to see if you just focus on his body language and the way he speaks, and not just in the tone of the voices he uses, but he uses a different vocabulary and a different set of words for each personality. And he speaks with a different pacing and a different, like you can, if you were to put it on paper, you can see where everything would be placed differently depending on who he's trying to portray here. Right. And it's insane because there are 23 personalities, and in reality, we only really got light shed on about 8 or 9. Right. Which is fucking amazing.
it came to that culmination in that end scene where after she calls out his name and he kind of comes back to being himself, but then he starts switching between the personalities one by one by one. And it was just like that scene in itself takes your mind places that is just like, holy shit. And what's funny is that you forget at times that you're watching a movie that's kind of based on a comic book series, like not necessarily legit a comic book series, you know what I'm saying? But like this is supposed to be
on the formation of a comic, yeah.
Right. This is M.Night Shyamalan's version of a comic book story. And but you lose that so much, like not in a bad way either, but you lose that so much in watching this movie because you become so engulfed in the characters themselves, like I'll be honest with you, like the one part that did interest me when it came to the side characters outside from McAvoy's character was the one girl. The one who was just way too fucking calm for forever having like, you know what I'm saying? Like you lived through some shit, mama, you obviously did, because in this situation at your age, you should be freaking the fuck out. Like your classmates, your friends, fucking, reactions to what's going on is more appropriate than what yours is. So I kind of focused in on her, the final girl, the one that actually the one that actually survives.
I've kind of say the final girl is the literal dub for it. Honestly.
Yeah, and so like watching her, it was just like holy shit. And then as the story with her and her uncle unfolded, I was just like, oh, that's why you're like that. Oh, okay. You can't burn somebody who's already living in hell. Like, okay, now I get it. And so, but I want to crack one quick joke real quick before we continue to dive into this.
Go.
I said this to my SO. The last scene when they find the girl, okay, when the maintenance dude finds her in the cage, right? I asked myself, why does nobody ask the important questions? He looked at her and said, "Oh my God, dear, why are you in here? Let me get you up and out." Not a single motherfucker turned around and asked, "Honey, why the hell do you have a shotgun?" Like,
why is a chunk missing from your leg?
like you sitting here, you got to bite out your leg, and you got a shotgun. What kind of wild night did you have here, ma'am? But no, I cracked that joke, but it was just funny to me because I'm like, the first question I would ask is like, wait a minute, why the hell do you have a gun? Like, are you
good?
Yeah, and like that just didn't seem to be a question that was asked at all. Like we were just like, "Oh, look, poor little girl, let me get you out of here." Like, oh, okay. Yeah. But anyway, but no, it definitely showed like different reactions. I'll give this credit. The three actresses that were the three girls credit. They definitely gave you very authentic, traumatic reactions to everything that was going on. Very authentic. Like, I'm not saying like they were really in danger. I'm just saying like their acting was really good because they gave you like kind of all different. Like you had the one girl, the Chelsea girl, the one that first got locked away, and she's like freaking out, like, we got to do something. We got to get out of here. We got to do something. We got to put a plan together. And then you got the other girl who's just kind of like, I don't know what to do, but I know I kind of agree with you, but she's just kind of trying to get along with everybody because she doesn't want to be hurt. And then you got the girl that's just way too fucking calm, like she done been through this shit already and is trying to tell everybody what the fuck to do. And it was the different types of people that you would find in different situations like that, all kind of wrapped up into one room. And I thought that was very well written. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, that's a really good point. Real quick before we go into that, I just want to say one last thing. If you look really closely, even you can see like the expression of McAvoy's eyes glaze over in the scenes when it's full frontal, focusing on him switching personalities, which is an insane little detail. If you ever get the chance to look back on that. But to go on to what you're talking about, despite the fact that neither three of those women are AAA fucking stars or by any means the best actors I've ever seen in my entire life, they were able to pull off that sense of trauma and fear amazingly so. And I didn't really think about the variety like that, but yeah, you're right. The variety of how each of them bounced off each other made a lot of sense as to why everything went down the way that it did.
Yes.
I didn't think about it like that. Yeah.
To an extent, she understood. And once again, the story with the uncle is what hit me to that. You know what I'm saying? In the attempt, she understood, like, okay, we're in a situation where we're not fighting our way out of this. Like she said, that dude's twice our size, and I could guarantee you one punch from him would knock one of us out.
Brute force it, and you're gonna look like a dumbass.
Right, brute force, and he's just gonna do what he wants to do anyway. You know, and she tried to figure out another way. You could see her brain kind of always ticking, and that comes from the fact that obviously her uncle, hopefully, who by the end of the movie went to jail himself, you know, was taking advantage of her since she was knee high to in rat. You know, and so, which makes me wonder where the mom was in all of this. Like where did she go? But yeah, like, you know, and you began to see in her story as it came out that the reason why she was so calm, the reason why she was so calculated in almost everything that she did was because she's learned how to survive trauma. She's learned how to deal with it in a manner, you know, and so, like, yeah, like you said, it's three different reactions: those who've never been through it, those who don't know what the fuck to do when they're in it, and those who have been through it before.
Now, if you'll indulge me, I want to talk about the difference in genre between the two movies at this point.
Okay, for sure.
And I didn't realize it until like 10 minutes after that I finished the movie. I sat down and I was like, don't necessarily even think about like the world that they're set in being correlated to each other.
Yeah.
Just to talk about that real quick, it's very clear that this and Unbreakable are set in the same set of reality. And it's really interesting because you can see in both versions, everything about the characters is originally written off, save for literally one fucking person, which is a really cool little running gag, which I hope we'll see again as we finish Glass, right? I really hope that'll be the running gag here because that's cool. But if you really focus on the presentation, the lighting, and especially the soundtrack, you can really see how good and close to a thriller this gets. Not to a horror, but to a jumpy thriller, especially as you get to the final scenes. Everything about its presentation ails it to not being in your face scary, but creating an air and a mystique of absolute fucking horror. And that to me is more effective than just a blatant jump scare. You know, building a setting that creates that sort of air is way more important. But please go ahead.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I made a comment to my significant other about that earlier today. This is another one of those movies. There's tons of movies. I'm trying to think of another good example of it, but this is another one of those movies that proves that you don't need a lot of blood and gore to scare. You don't need, you know, it's just Pitch Black was like that. It was very much a suspenseful movie, you know. But what created the suspense was more so just the darkness of the screen and everything that was happening, and not being able to see shit that was going on at certain points, or only being able to see shadows of shit that was going on. It's the same thing with this. I think they did a lot more by leaving a lot of things off screen. Like a prime example is towards the end of the movie when the thing, everything is building to its crescendo. There's no need to show you him eating these little girls. There's none. It serves no purpose in furthering that he's a bad guy. So being able to show the body laying there and him kind of off screen doing it, you know, where you're fully aware of what he's doing, but you're not necessarily looking at it. You're not seeing entrails all over the place and blood squirting, you know, and all that. It gave you that scare that, oh my God, what the hell is he eating that little girl?
It was that well-timed shock factor. It wasn't about the jump scare. It was about the well-timed piece of imagery along with the build-up that whole fucking time. Right. And that's such a good fucking point because I don't know about you, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I pride myself on being a violent motherfucker. Nah, bro. But I like to think after watching so much media, playing so many video games, consuming so much of this stuff, you can see a little bit of violence a lot easier, you know? And so I feel like, especially like somebody who adores Tarantino movies back and forth, you know, I grew up on Dusk Till Dawn, man. I love
we're gonna
that
have
shit.
to do. We're gonna have to do a few of his.
We're
gonna have to do a few of his.
but like I pride myself on that stuff. But even then, after all that, it was so well timed and so well done that when the camera pans for just that frame and shows her open guts on the floor, that pulled a genuine fucking gasp out of me. Not like a jump scare look away, but like a oh fuck sort of
what the hell?
shock. And it wasn't the imagery in itself, it was the buildup and everything that came fucking with it.
Mm-hmm. And so it was everything even that happened with the doctor. Like let's I love the whole back and forth with the doctor, because she you could tell she knew something was going on, but she couldn't pinpoint what. And it was just one of those type of things where it was just like you could tell he liked her. And I thought for a second, once again, the M.Night Shyamalan twist, I thought for a second that was going to end up being his saving grace, that the doctor was going to find him and she was going to be able to talk to him, and maybe like she was going to talk him down, and maybe the girls would get out alive.
And for just a minute, it looked like it.
It looked like that, exactly, until we realized that Dennis and Patricia are running the show now. I did not expect what's his name to be involved in it, though. I did not expect Henrik to be involved in it. That was a good.
So, see, it's so interesting because it's almost like the X-Men Legion effect, where everyone has a different power, but it's not so blatant. Everyone has a different gimmick that can correlate to doing something that's really fucking weird. And Hedwig's ability is the ability to literally take control, which is so fucking interesting. Like, it's so impossible to fucking think of, but that's so dope.
Like he said, all I have to do is wish myself into the light. That's all. That's what he said. Yep, and
that's all it takes. And so you can literally see that, and it's so interesting that he's played to be a villain, because you have the dichotomy of understanding he can't fucking understand that, because he's literally the mind of a what, like 9-year-old?
I believe he said 9. I believe he said he's 9.
It was a 9-year-old being manipulated by two insanely malevolent motherfuckers.
Yep.
And it's so fucking interesting.
And I do like their take, and we can kind of touch on this too. I do like their take on that people with DID aren't deficient. They're actually special. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not broken people. They're actually special. Like the doctor's whole take. Like, I enjoyed that on, it was definitely a brand new take on, on origins, on how people can, you know what I'm saying, become something. Like I've on plenty of occasions in my life seen the theory of how people, would develop powers, would develop this, would develop that. Watching the AIDS game, sorry. Develop powers. And I never thought that something like DID would be a trigger for powers. It's really weird, because trauma has always been considered. You can go back to dating to the early comic books, the early Marvel and all that comic books. Trauma has always been a way to bring out and manifest powers.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You hit the target right on the mark with that. I was going to talk about how, like, even in a horror setting and a reality-driven setting, if you just think about it in the most simple of a basic comic book ticks, you can see them hit, even with something as circumstantial as this. And I'm at that point now where it's like, fuck, maybe he can do something really good. Because this movie was everything everyone said it was and more. And then I'll get more into that at the end here, but to keep rolling with it, yeah, man, you can see the basic comic book mark hit. And I find it interesting because the character of the Horde and everything about it isn't played to be sympathetic, you know. I don't think you're supposed to, when everything comes to the end, obviously, you're not supposed to feel bad for him. You're not supposed to empathize with him. But seeing everything get drawn back to his trauma and his past, even without giving flashes and visuals of that, much like with our final girl, we had visuals, we had videos, which made perfect sense with her. And that was good. But I do like that Kevin's whole set of trauma in his past was only really fleshed out with one visual and his mom hitting him under the bed with the fucking clothes hanger or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else about his past, you need to draw from the words and from the context of everything around him and everything that he says.
And that's the thing with it, is that this was just a movie that it left you with more questions than answers, but that was a good thing. You know, like at the end of the day. And as far as jumping back real quick to what you were talking about the different feels of the movie, I think a lot of that had to do with two different things. I think first and foremost, you're seeing good guy versus bad guy in the sense of presentation. You're seeing I'm building a hero versus I'm building a villain. Okay. And then the second thing, and probably the more pertinent of the two, the movies were actually shot about 15 years apart. Because it didn't hit me with that. It didn't trigger that in me, that thought, until that very last scene right before Bruce Willis shows up. When she's like, what was that guy they put away 15 years ago? And I went, 50. Oh, so there's been 15 years since that situation. And I was like, oh shit. And then I thought about the movie's release. Split was released in 2016. Unbreakable was released in 2000. Years, yeah. So there was about 15 years difference. So I was like, okay, so we're working with real time as far as how the movies are paced. But I think the look at is you look at how the world was in 2000 versus how the world was in 2016. And and you can see kind of the contrast in the movies themselves as far as how they're shot based on the era that they're from. I think, to be honest with you, and I'll say this right now, I think Unbreakable is a completely different comic book movie if it came out now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of everything that's come out, you know, since it, I think it's a completely different movie. But we'll dive into that when we go into the overall when we talk
when we talk about overarching.
But so far I felt that I felt, and that was the other thing I really liked about this movie. And you can kind of give let us know how you feel too. I really, really liked the fact that Bruce Willis, Samuel Jackson were not splattered all over this movie just to tie it to Unbreakable. You had really one scene at the end of the movie that looped everything back and tied it into Unbreakable, to the events of Unbreakable. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure there were other little nods to Unbreakable throughout the movie, but that one scene is really what ties it all together. And so instead of it being heavy-handed, you know what I'm saying, a heavy-handed sequel where it's like, oh, this is obviously a sequel. You know, look, we even got the old guys. We even got Bruce Willis here. He showed up like 8 times in the movie. Nah, he told you a completely different story about a completely different character and then tied it all together with one appearance.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about it like that, but I'm really glad that it wasn't cheap fan service like, bro, Bruce Willis, Sam Jackson, like splattered and making it as a big selling point. If I'm being honest, like I harken back a long time ago when you asked the question of watching the Star Wars movies in a certain order for the sake of the aha moment. I feel like the best case scenario is that someone watches Unbreakable and then watches Split, not having any context that movie has anything to do with Unbreakable. And then at the very end, they hear that and then connect 2 and 2 and realize, no, this is not a horror story. This is a supervillain origin story.
Yes.
And so, in my honest opinion, it would be best served that people don't even know that they're connected until they reach the end if they're presented to this completely new.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because I like the idea of having Unbreakable where it was this dark, reality-driven superhero origin story.
You're right.
Whereas you have this pseudo-horror, gory thriller supervillain origin story. And it's even better when you don't have any context and you can put it together yourself, in my opinion.
Well, no, that aha moment is one of the big ones. Like a lot of people don't understand that. They're like putting together that this is a part of a series of movies that you've watched before. It's just like, oh,
shit.
Okay. Right on. yeah, let's do this. And that's where I find myself at when it comes to Split. Is I'm all for ready to watch Glass, because Split was such an intense movie that I can't wait to see how all of this comes together in this finale. Just same thing like what we're talking about on the second half of the show with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Can't wait till next week to see how all that comes together. But
in 2 weeks we're hitting the finale of 2 very big series for us, huh? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just didn't realize that. Go ahead though.
With Glass and whatchamacallit. And I do want to squeeze in at some point some DC talk, because the shows this year have been amazing. But yeah, man, I would definitely, if I had to rate the movie, I'm going to give it 5 stars. These movies, and I'm pretty sure Glass will fall in. I can already say after having watched these 2 movies that Glass will fall in line with this too. These movies make me believe that M. Night Shyamalan is a good director again, because like I said, after watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, I thought the man needed to go, no faith in him at all. I thought the man needed to go climb into a rock, put the rock on top of him, and just stay there, because that was just shameful. But these movies make me realize that if the man is handed the right script, he can make an amazing movie, just like The Sixth Sense, and I can't wait to watch Glass, because I want to see more McAvoy. I do. I want to see more McAvoy as the Horde. And as soon as they said the name, it hit me right there in the chill spot. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, the Horde.
If I'm not mistaken, the painting that the psychiatrist was looking at, if I'm not mistaken, that was a biblical depiction of the Legion.
The Legion? Okay.
Old Testament shit.
Well, that makes sense, considering one of his personalities was constantly rattling off about that.
The beast and the Horde all circle back to that, Yeah.
Yeah.
But before to finish off overarching themes, yeah, man, it was insane. I'm so hyped.
Yep.
I'm so hyped.
We're going to be taking a look at Glass in, like I said, about 2 weeks. So that gives us time to process all of this and then put it all together. And watch this movie, because I'm now, man, thank you. I'll be honest with you. I had put off watching these movies because I just had kind of gotten over the whole M. Night Shyamalan, hype. And I was just like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, comic books. Woohoo! I was into partying and drinking and doing my thing back then. I wasn't really into this stuff. So I definitely say thank you for bringing it up, because man, this series has been worth watching. And God damn it, go back in time and give James McAvoy his goddamn Oscar for this movie if he didn't already win one. Matter of fact, give that man 2. Matter of fact, give him 9 Oscars. Give him 1 Oscar for every role that he played. Okay. 5 times. Shit. Because each individual personality was an individual character, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Again, after watching what feels like so many different movies, I feel like I can predict a lot of different things. This movie was a curveball in all the best fucking ways, especially as it comes down to the end. The more I dip into horror movies, the more I feel like I've seen every final girl cliche over and fucking over again. And him stopping from what seeming's like him gonna come and break her in fucking half like Bane. Yeah. He stops and realizes that she literally went through the same exact shit he did. And that there's no reason to hurt someone who completely understands everything that's going on in his head.
Yep.
And it's interesting because you can literally see the 2 paths of what this trauma will do to you. Yep. And it's fucking insane. And the portrayal and reality of what that can do to your psyche is incredible. And it's insane to see it put to screen for me. And I have a lot of appreciation for the way that it was paced and written. And it's a damn near perfect movie, and Glass is going to have to do great to triumph this for me.
For sure. I will agree with you 100%, and I will say this. That was the pinnacle moment of the movie, and I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be, but that was the pinnacle moment of the movie. It's that moment when he looks at her body and he sees that she's all scarred up, and he's just like, oh, you're one of us. Okay, well, yeah, never mind. And I don't need to. Yeah, no, never mind.
Yeah,
take care. Bye.
Peace.
peace, I'm out. And it was that. But in that moment, shit. Sometimes that can traumatize you worse than them actually doing something to you. You know what I'm saying? Actually hurting you, because it's just like, oh, okay, what the fuck just happened? Why the hell did I just go through all this shit?
Why just die?
Yeah, But I'm the one that survives because I've been being molested by my uncle. Wow, that's some twisted shit.
On not a sour note, but on a harsh fucking note.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Oh my god! Don't give me my favorite Joker fan service. Don't give me this. Don't get me started.
All right, man. So let's wrap it up there. Let's take a quick commercial break for those of you watching us on YouTube, and podcast promo break for the audio version. But y'all keep listening in. Cheap Pop Podcast, Four Aces Presents Radio. Should have West Coast Bias on from earlier today. You got some other shows coming on later on this week. Mr. Deacon, Saint, Lovely Radio. So join us for all of them, guys. Sam, Brett, we're kicking off. So peace. You're listening to the Cheap Pop Podcast right here on the Four Aces Presents Radio Network. Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever you may find your favorite podcasts.
From the galactic depths of the comic book universe comes the ghosts of the stratosphere, ready to galvanize and energize your mind with the latest of comic book news and reviews. And why are you stopping me? Yes, that's much better. Hi, this is Andy Larson for Ghosts of the Stratosphere. Join me every week along with my co-hosts Rob Stewart and Chad Smith, as well as a cavalcade of fantastic comic book guests, as we dish out heaping helpings of the greatest and latest of comic book news and reviews. New shows posted every Tuesday with bonus shows every first Friday of the month. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher under Ghosts of the Stratosphere, as well as on our website, www.gotstratosphere.com. Hope to see you soon, folks.
Man brain. You know you want it. You know you need it. Let me introduce you to our team of audio professionals, 100% committed to giving you the greatest extreme comedy podcast of all time.
What's SPH? I'm so super cute.
Send me your orgasmic release videos.
You can get it rootin'. You can get it tootin'. You can get it doing doughies in your yeet. Mi nombre es Tío Yeti. And you just laugh at little Hank. I ain't gonna pretend I is fresh. But looks like you might like that.
And most importantly, I'm Skullfucker. Rah! Go to manbrainpodcast.com to get orally violated. Manbrain out.
Game ticket, $50. Hot dog, $8. Team store item, $25.
I told him I can beat him with one hand tied behind my back, with some glasses on, with one eye lens out, with some flip-flops on in the ring.
Having to listen to someone's dumb sports opinions? Worthless. Some people shouldn't talk sports. For everyone else, there's the Unspoken Podcast, available on most podcasting platforms, and on the web at the unsporkensportspodcast.weebly.com.
And we're back, y'all. What's up? As promised, I am Double KK Double, and then right in front of me is the man Alpha.
Yes, sir. Back with the second half of the show, leading in with the second half of the show.
There you go.
But what we're going to be doing now is breaking into the much more presentable set of superhero shit. We're going to be sticking to the A-list Marvel shit now. And we're going to be leading into Falcon and the Winter Soldier this time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. or what can be dubbed soon Captain America. But we'll get to that later on in the episode when I get to what I saw online in regards to the final episode. All right, so it started out really hitting you in the feels. It gave you the story with Sam and him and his sister. They're trying to fix the boat, for their family boat for fishing, to earn the money. And unfortunately, he can't get a loan from the bank, because basically, like we talked about on a few episodes ago, the Avengers don't get paid. They save the world a million times over and don't get paid. But it was one of those things where it just kind of brought everything back down to earth. And gave you a real insight into Sam Wilson, the man, give you somebody to be grounded with before he becomes what he is to be. They allow you to get a kind of connection with him.
You're right.
And they give you kind of a taste of who the major villains are. And again, thank you, Marvel writers, for giving me a sympathetic villain yet again. Kylie as a villain is one of Marvel's most, to me, fleshed out villains is a good word to use. Like she's very, very deep as a character. Her motives are not simple at all. Her motives are very complicated. She's trying, in her mind, she's trying to help people. Mm-hmm. She's the good guy. It's that old adage. I think they actually mentioned it in one of the Avengers movies where it's like the bad guy always thinks they're the good guy. Like, no matter what story you look at,
you're dangerous. Why? Because you think you're the good guy here.
Yeah. And so Kylie is exactly that. And in episode 1 and episode 2, we not only get introduced to Sam's life, but we also get introduced to Bucky's life, and gives us one of my favorite moments in the entire series when Bucky crashes that lady's car and then starts in with his spiel about I'm the winner. I am no longer. My name is Bucky Barnes, and
This is a part of my recovery. This is a part of my recovery process. My name is Bucky Barnes. I was the winner. Yeah, it's so good. Like that circle, like the hi Bucky. Like you can hear it in your head, right?
But it just made for some great moments in introducing you to these characters and actually getting you to like them. And moving forward into episode 3, which is where we'll kind of start dissecting it. It gave us John Walker. And technically, they gave us John Walker at the end of episode 1, but they didn't really give you John Walker till episode 3. So I'll kind of let you start off with your thoughts on that episode, and then we'll jump off from there.
It's always interesting to see the different versions of each different character, and much like Netflix's version of Frank Castle, you can immediately see that translating John Walker's entire gimmick and story was as literally simple as bringing it up to modern times, making it a lot less based in, I believe, the 70s and 80s was when this character was when he debuted and where his military time was based at. It's now up to speed, and all of his achievements were earned in Afghanistan and working as a current day frontline infantry soldier, for lack of a better term, right?
Right.
And so seeing it translated that way makes a lot more sense when you see him slowly grow into someone much more malicious in the future. But in the beginning, you see more than anything his insecurity and doubts and fears about taking on the mantle before he even puts on the fucking suit.
Yep.
I like, for one, that this is a lot closer to the rendition of the costume of the U.S. agent before he even becomes the U.S. agent. Yep. In the comics, when John Walker took over as Captain America, he literally put on the fucking regular Captain America suit. And the only way to tell the difference was the way they talked, they moved, and the shape of their fucking jaw. Yeah. Now it's a lot more on the nose and a little less subtle, which I'm more than fine with because I'm a Mark and I fucking love the U.S. agent suit. Go ahead, get some in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought the character, like you said, I thought it was presented in a way that made him relatable but hateable.
Yeah.
Like he had to put it in the words of like, he had just a drop of douchiness, just a drop of douchiness,
just a drop,
you know. And they gave him a likable partner in Battlestar, very much so. And you know, overall, it was just one of those type of things where you wanted Sam to like slap him upside the head and take the shield from him, like. But you knew that, like,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
You know, but effectively that wasn't what ended up happening at the beginning, because there needed to be this transformation within Sam. And I believe that John Walker, being the antithesis to Sam, made for the perfect growth place for Sam to grow into the shield, so to speak. You know, I definitely liked the actor, and I'm gonna state it right now while we're talking about this particular character. Fuck anybody that gave the actor hate, online or otherwise, because of the fact that, oh, you're not my captain. Shut the fuck up, dude. We're watching a story being told to us, in just shut the fuck up. Like leave the dude alone. He's an actor, and if you hated him, then that means he did his damn job. I remember that aha moment when watching wrestling for me, when I was like, God, I hate this dude. And that aha moment,
it clicked like, wait, that's what he wants. Like me seething like this, he wants this and he's winning, damn it.
You know? But that's effectively what it is. Like, you're supposed to hate John Walker. John Walker's not supposed, and I think a lot of people that got mad over the John Walker character got more mad over the fact that he was so relatable than they did about the douchiness. Yeah. Like, nobody wanted to see themselves in John Walker, but everybody could see themselves in John Walker. Yeah. The insecurities, you know what I'm saying? Think about how you would react if all of a sudden you go from being soldier to all of a sudden now you're Captain America. Like, you have to get out here.
I'm very real with that shit. Like,
you know,
it's literally like putting it in retrospect. You hate him because he can't hold up to who previously held the mask. You're literally proving him right for being afraid, you fucking idiots. And it plays into it well, because eventually, as it unfurls here, you see him slowly go from, please work with me, I'm trying to work with you, and this patient, passive man, into this someone who boils over with frustration that he's not a super soldier.
Yep.
And it's that specifically that fucking broke the camel's back.
And so that leads us into episode 4, which is where these storylines kind of develop fully. When you have the entire scenes with first and foremost, bravo to Baron Zemo, baby.
Oh yeah.
I forget. I can't think of the name of the actor that played him, but the guy, that character was done so well. Like, bravo. Like, and so it was a scene. It was a bunch. We can get to that later, but a bunch of scenes that made me happy involving him. But sticking with the John Walker storyline, the character becomes full circle and kind of comes fully developed. That was his episode. Episode 4 was Walker's episode.
Yeah,
because
episode 4
really showed you the struggle, the length he would go to try to live up to the Captain America name, which is technically all he was really trying to do. And then, of course, Battlestar's death in the moment that he just snaps. You know, but my I think I've told you this before. My favorite scene in that episode is the scene after he's dumb enough to with the Dora Milaje and gets put on his ass. And not only did he get put on his ass, let me mark this clear: the Dora Milaje were about to take the shield. If it was not for Ayo stopping and walking by her and being like, "No, leave it here, leave it with him. We don't. That's not what we're here for." And walking out, she was about. She kicked up the shield. She was about to take it. So she's about to take that shit home. You know, but he got his ass beat in that one scene where he's just sitting there, shield next to him, and Battlestar's over him trying to help him out. He's like, "They weren't even super soldiers. Like I just got my ass handed to me, and they weren't." And super soldiers.
Yeah, and it didn't click to me that point is because at that point he had rationalized the first defeat because they were super soldiers and they were fucking exuding that shit.
Oh man,
Dora Milaje ain't about that. They're just gonna kick your ass. It's not that complicated with this. And his realization of like, fuck, I'm just not that good, am I? is both humbling and heartbreaking in so many fucking ways. And the insecurity of being Captain America is very fucking real. But to go into Battlestar specifically, though, in my infinite fucking stupidity here with an obsession with comics and this shit, of course I saw, oh, that's Battlestar, and it's like, fuck, he's gonna die. Because instantly I always remember the existence of Battlestar is basically like the story. It's like the presentation of Uncle Ben or Jason Todd. It's like you dying is a very integral part of your character and your whole entire arc. Mm-hmm. And seeing it play out this way was so much better than any other version that I've ever seen. Nice. Even after seeing, like, spoiler alert, Battlestar becomes a crazy ass cyborg, man, and it's fucking insane in the comics. He's incredibly fucking powerful in the comics because of this. Mm. But I'm interested now to see when they're going to pull the trigger on this, because Zemo this far out, for me, I don't know about you, but it proves to me that they can do a long-term trump card very fucking well. Oh, yeah. It has been a few years now since we've seen Zemo used in the MCU, and now he is an integral and very fucking awesome part of this show. Yep. And so now I wouldn't think about it if not had the context of Zemo here, but I'm excited to see at what point they pull the card of Battlestar being a cyborg badass now. And so I'm hopeful that they'll wait and pull it on another show, because much like I talked about with White Vision showing up like, hey, I'm safe, I feel like the Battlestar dying and the effect it has on John Walker should be felt for a while before he returns in physicality. You know what I mean?
Armored Wars, I think, may be a time when it would be a good time to bring him back. But
that's what I'm saying.
I don't necessarily see them going that route after having watched episode 5. I don't necessarily see them going that route. But let's get to, real quick, before we dive into some of the other stuff there, because there's a lot to unpack about episode 4. But let's dive into that last scene.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. As John Walker, for those of you guys who have not seen it, spoiler alert, but we've been spoiling you the whole time if you haven't seen any of it. I want to say John Walker and Battlestar face off against the Flag Smashers, and Kylie actually ends up killing Battlestar. Well, this sends John Walker over the edge, as he just discussed, and he ends up killing a man in broad daylight while wearing the Captain America uniform, and actually uses the shield to basically either chop the dude off at the neck. They never quite show you what happens.
Fucking bludgeon him.
Or bludgeon him to death. Basically similar to how Cap used the shield in Iron Man, or against Iron Man in Civil War, when he used it to finally put a stop to him.
Without the armor there to protect him from breaking his fucking neck.
Exactly. So, but you have this scene where John Walker stands up and he puts back on the shield, and you have all that blood on the bottom of the shield. That was such a powerful moment in general. And man, go on, like that. What did that image do for you? Should I say?
I'm very glad you asked that, because the exact wording I was going to use was that in that moment, nobody said anything, and he didn't say anything, but you can read the statement, "I'm not Steve Rogers." Mm-hmm. And it's not a scared, insecure statement. It's an emphatic, like, much like to quote something completely not serious here, like Megamind, damn near, like, you're not saved. You're under new management now.
Yeah.
It's much more malicious and powerful now. It's like, I'm willing to go where Steve Rogers didn't.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm not as strong as Steve Rogers. What do you think?
Now, mind you, I think that part of the thing with it was, to quote Spider-Man and Uncle Ben, so to speak, to draw that back, with great power comes great responsibility. Mm-hmm. I think what happened with him was more of a steroid-like rage that came from the combination of him taking the super soldier serum, feeling inadequate, and then his best friend getting killed. Like, I think the combination of all of those three drove him to what he did. Because I think if you take any one of those three out, either Battlestar doesn't die, he doesn't take the serum, or you know, he doesn't live through that trauma of Battlestar dying. I think at that point we may get a different reaction out of him. But I think because of those three things happening in sequence, it led to him doing exactly what he did. And
kind of like when you think of like Anakin, like Star Wars, it's like you have to you think of it and it's like the culmination of all these things is what led to Darth Vader, not just one of these things.
Right. And now, of course, you had the people manipulating, just like now, you do have people who are manipulating things from the outside, you know, exactly. But it's just a great portrayal of a very complex character.
Yeah.
You know, like U.S. Agent is one of those characters that was, how do I say it, sneakily deep.
Yeah.
There was a lot of depth to the character. You know, he wasn't just, I'm U.S. man, I'm going to save the U.S. because that's what I do. You know, there was a lot more depth to that. And they did that by going through the storyline of putting the Captain America outfit on him and him not wanting to, or not him not being able to live up to the icon that Steve Rogers was, because technically there should be no second Captain America. Once Captain America retires, that should be it. Captain America's done. But unfortunately, Captain America has now become a mantle that gets passed, so that you know, America always has its savior. But yeah, that scene left me in awe.
Yeah, me too. Very powerful image.
You know, and the fact that they didn't really have any music to it. If you really notice that subtlety in the
cold
scene,
silence.
Yeah, it was just that. Okay, and then they kind of flashed around to everybody. Yeah, now that'll lead us into the most recent episode, which I'll tell you, it kicks off. Action picks off right off the back. Okay, because you immediately have now John Walker looking for a place to hide after having killed this man in broad daylight. And of course, Bucky and Sam come for the shield. They're like, you can no longer hold that. Like, you can't. Sorry. Like, you know, you can't go around killing. That's not. And a battle ensues that to me is one of the best fight scenes in it, because despite his, to me it said this, and for others it may say something else, but to me it said, despite all of his insecurities, if he had the right moral compass and given the super serum, John Walker could have been Steve Rogers. And I say that because he handled both Sam and Bucky for a quick minute in that fight before they finally took him down. So I'm like, okay, that's some shit Steve would have done. You know, so at the end of the day, and it kind of reminded me of the fight of the 3-person fight scene from Civil War between Bucky, Steve, and Iron Man. Yeah. It kind of reminded me of that fight with a lot of the same like messages to it. You know, like, dude, you don't deserve this. Like, and man, it just blew my mind. I loved it, but it set up what ended up being a great episode where Sam ends up, and the reason why I'm recapping this is because unfortunately Alpha hasn't had a chance to watch it, so I'm recapping it for him too before we get into.
I've got the synopsis though, but yes, go ahead though. In more detail, more leeway to talk. Please go ahead.
But so he Sam goes back to his hometown with his sister, and they basically call in a bunch of favors from the neighborhood people that all knew their parents, and they get the boat fixed and everything so that they can keep working with the boat and all that, and they basically do it for free. But in the meantime, Bucky comes down, he helps them out, and he kind of convinces Sam, like, yo, look, dude, like, there's a reason why Steve thought you were the dude to take the shield. Like they, you know what I'm saying? And it leads to this conversation that Sam ends up having because he just doesn't believe he's worthy. And so it ends up to this conversation that he has with Isaiah Bradley. That is just extremely powerful because he went to go basically give the shield to Isaiah Bradley. Like, he's like, you deserve this. Like, after everything they've done to you, like, you deserve this. And Isaiah Bradley has probably one of the most powerful lines I've ever heard said in the MCU. He looks at Sam. He goes, I don't want that shield. He goes, no black man. He goes, no black man should ever be Captain America. He goes, and no self-respecting black man should want to be. And I was just like, and when you think about it in the context of what was done to him, you know what I'm saying, in the name of the super soldier serum and him having to watch his friends die, like the thing that they tell you the story of how he got put in jail, and his story about how the reason why he got put in jail is because they were going to leave the other people that they had given the super soldier serum, they were going to leave them behind enemy lines and let them die and basically just bomb the place and kill them. And he was like, oh, fuck no. And busted out, went and got his boys and brought him home, and they put him in, they court-martialed him and put him in jail for that. And then gave the serum to Steve and the shield to Steve Rogers. So you begin to understand Isaiah Bradley's hatred for, you know, the entire thing. And he's like, you can come back. And he's like, no, just leave me dead. He's like, I'm good. Like, you know, and so, but it does lead to Sam eventually coming to grips with the fact that who else is going to be Captain America? You know, who else is going to be able to hold that mantle? And so Bucky brings him a suit that he does not put on before the end of the episode. Wink, wink. But we do go through a training montage where he begins training with the shield, like throwing it off of random trees and doing flips and shit and doing flips and catching it and fucking up sometimes and all that. So you got a great training montage with him. And it led me to this statement, to repeat a statement that I read online from our friend of the show, Jamil Hemphill.
Oh, boy.
This episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because there was a end credits scene, which I'll talk about in just a second. Because it had an end credits scene, this was actually your series finale for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because next week we'll start Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And hit me right there, but it's the truth. When you watch the episode, you see it's the dead truth. Like, he's ready now to take the mantle. And I think what the favor that Bucky asked for from Wakanda is the Captain America suit as we know it, but it'll probably be made out of vibranium or whatever Black Panther suit is made out of. I don't believe he's going to keep the wings, though. I think they made it. I think because they kind of made it a point in this episode in the battle with John Walker, his wings get ripped off. Like John Walker like pins him down because he keeps using the wings to like sweep him and like keep fucking him up. So once he gets him pinned down, he takes it and just rips the wings off.
That's interesting.
And so Falcon has them in like a duffel bag, and he brings them back. And then so he has a conversation with the Mexican kid, his second in command. He has a conversation with him, and so they finish the conversation. He picks up the shield and goes to walk out, and the guy goes, "Hey, you don't want your wings?" And he's like, "Keep them," and he walks out the door. So I think
that's interesting, huh?
I think the suit I think the suit that's going to be in the thing is going to be the Falcon Captain America suit with the white and all of that and the star in the center and all that. It's going to be the Falcon Captain America suit, but without the wings. And just to let you know what the end scene is before we get into this last part.
Go roll it.
The end credit scene is John Walker basically beginning to build the U.S. agent suit and the U.S. agent shield.
My God. Did they show the baton?
No, they did not show the baton. He was just building the shield, and you could see.
Oh my God!
And so I believe he, as well as Kylie and the Flag Smashers, are going to end up kind of being the main villains of the the series finale.
Oh my God, that's so dope, man! I'm so into that shit.
I'll let you unpack all of that, sir.
All right, so let's roll. It's a smaller detail, but a prevailing theme with John Walker before we finish off with him almost completely. He is physically, and I'm only talking physically, though. Physically, he is slightly more powerful than Captain America. Okay. I've heard that he's not like substantially so, but his power is more on the level of people like Spider-Man, less so than it is people on like Steve Rogers. So there is that kind of like imbalance, you know? Okay. And so I didn't really think about it, but you can see that in that one moment when he angrily throws the shield and instead of bouncing, it just implants itself like 3 feet into the fucking concrete wall.
Yes.
So you can see shit like that. And now you can see obviously that he can rip off the fucking wings like it's nobody's fucking business. John Walker is physically a fucking beast.
Yeah,
that's very important. But a theme that I've noticed a lot in stories like these is that the insecurity and fear of something is what will ultimately lead to the downfall, even if they had the potential the entire time to succeed there. But they let the fear and the insecurity of it override their ability to trust themselves and rely on themselves and their own skills.
Right.
And so I really do like that it is a well-established fact, and it's easy to see that John Walker easily could have been the next Steve Rogers, but he let his own fear cloud his judgment and let it control him. So that's such an interesting way to run it. I fucking love that.
And one thing that I accidentally left out from this episode as well, Bucky turns over Zemo to the Wakandans. He turns him over at the end to Ayo and the Wakandans. So unfortunately, I think Baron Zemo may play a role, but I think he's going to be buried somewhere in Wakanda. Like, we may not see him again until Black Panther 2. Like, but he was taken away by the Dora Milaje by the end of this last episode. Oh man,
best case scenario, the Strucker was a foreshadowing for something, man. Because Mordo, Zemo, and Strucker, it's like, give me the fan service, damn it.
Well, remember, they're just tucking him away in a Wakanda prison.
Exactly. But if I'm not mistaken, when Falcon becomes Captain America, from what I remember, his wings are, instead of on his back, they're under his arms, like a kind of like a bat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They go kind of like that, like Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, like a flying squirrel, shit like that. It goes under his arm, not like under like completely, and it's still in the shape of the wings, but they're just attached to under his arm.
Right.
It's hard to explain.
Maybe we'll see that.
If they're not getting rid of the complete wings, that's my shot in the dark.
Yeah.
But they could just as easily just be getting rid of the wings completely. Yeah. Either way, I'm fine with it, because the transitional armor of Falcon becoming Captain America is one of my favorite suits of armor. The screaming eagle. It's literally like it looks like if someone grabbed Falcon's armor and dipped it in liquid 4th of July. It's wonderful. It's great.
As Trey Parker and Matt Stone would say, America, fuck yeah.
It's classic. It's classic.
Definitely. But no, like, and we can see that, we can see that throughout this episode. Like, yeah, man, I can't wait till next week. I'm so looking forward to see how this ends. WandaVision finale, as much as everybody else was disappointed with it, I thought it wrapped up in everything nice and neatly, and I loved it. I think I'm going to be happy with this. And like you say, outside of the logo, it's got me extremely juiced for Loki.
Yeah.
So Marvel doing their job. Let me talk about one quick thing. Is there anything else you want to cover with Falcon and Winter Soldier? Are you good there?
Yeah, no, you got everything, man. We're cool.
Okay. There's one thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to make this statement right away. I made this statement on Facebook earlier today.
Go ahead.
To the execs at the CW, if any of you ever get to watch this, you better green light. Don't pull no Falcon, or don't pull no Arrow and the Canaries on me. You better green light the Painkiller spinoff for Black Panther, or not Black Panther, but Black Lightning, because the one episode pilot that they did looks so damn savage.
No shit.
Oh, bro. Like, it was this week. Basically, this week's episode of Black Lightning was the one episode pilot for the Painkiller series.
That's so fucking cool.
And the scenes of Khalil fighting himself in his head, Painkiller versus Khalil. Dude. Man, the whole thing, I would love to see an entire series. Give me more. So I'm putting my arc out there. Please, CW, green light that series, because it was so well done, and I can't wait to see more.
Fucking throw them the reins, damn it.
If they do it, it looks like the villain is going to be, I don't know if you know who Odell is. He's from the Black Panther series.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Odell's daughter. Yeah. The main villain of Painkiller is going to be Odell's daughter.
That's so fucking, you were literally doing like, okay, I'm into this. I'm into this. I'm down with that. So, it's like old fucking Kid Batman and shit. I remember that. Yeah, I'm into this.
So yeah, man. Like I watched it this morning, and I'm just all about it. I'm all here for it. So that's my plea. My last second plea is please CW greenlight that series so you can give me more of that. If you're gonna stop giving me Black Lightning after the season, then give me Painkiller in that slot next season, and I'll be happy. You can keep me happy.
Yeah, man. I'm into that shit. I'll take that any day of the week.
Any last subjects, bro, to broach before we call it a night?
That's all for me. That's my collection.
All right, y'all. So that's it for us for this week. Join us next week when we're going to be talking just some basic wrestling, some Raw, some SmackDown. AEW hopefully will hit 1 million viewers again this week. Good for them. Doesn't matter how many times you hit 1 million, you're still not taking down WWE. Just get over it. Anyway, but we're going to be talking more big men, big sweaty men in little tiny outfits. I can say this because it's a TV episode. Check out Young Rock if you haven't. It's an excellent show. I just watched the most recent episode today, and yeah, I love it, every minute of it. So other than that, any last words for him, Alpha?
Oh my God, my people, I'm officially paying $5 a month to watch online Jim Cornette talk about pissing on Vince Russo's grave, and I'm not going to stop. Be safe and have a great day, and we'll be back next week.
On that note, you got to say, I'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Oh, man.